Where we are at the moment is the bottom of the railway cut that was part of the Leeds New Line and fell into disuse, I think probably in the 1960s, but maybe a bit later than that. And it was originally the old railway line, and the line was taken up and it was sold into private ownership, this part of the land between the two bridges behind you there on Walkley Lane and on Brunswick Street behind us. And it was sold into private ownership in around about the early 1990s, and it was just held. Nothing was done with it from then on. There have been various applications for planning permission, and the most recent application for planning permission in around about 2016 was an application to just infill with landfill all of this area from the two bridges. So that would have involved probably about 3 years of lorries coming through Heckmondwike, dumping what they call clean waste, which is quarry working, demolition stuff, but there would have been very little scrutiny of what was actually dumped on here, then allowing it to settle, and then building on the land. So the whole area would have been infilled, and you can see how hugely deep the cut is. It would have caused absolute misery for Heckmondwike people, but it also would have totally destroyed this beautiful natural environment that's been rewilded since 1960s. The Greenway is a very successful project that pretty much everyone in the local area will have used at some point or another. It's the old railway line. I'm no railway geek, but it's the other railway line that runs through from Dewsbury right the way through to Bradford, and it's probably about 200 yards that way. And it's used all the time. People walking, people with kids, trikes, bikes, horses, cyclists, day trippers, everybody's used it, particularly during lockdown. And what we want is this stretch, which runs from the Greenway, to be connected right up to the Ringway on the other side of Heckmondwike. So it would be a natural flow through from that cycle path, Greenway path, right the way through on the other side of Spen Valley to go right the way through up to Cleckheaton. It would be easy to join. It's not a big project at all. It simply would be running through the line, tarmacking it through, and utilising all the rest of the land for public use as well, returning it to the public. It should be public land. So it's a very worthwhile project, but it also would make a massive difference to people who live on the other side of Heckmondwike, who currently, if they want to get down to the Greenway, it's really hard. Because I don't know if you've ever tried walking with a toddler and a dog and a bike, but they have to cross a number of roads to get down to the Greenway. If this were opened up, it would be so much easier for people who just need space and the ability to get out and enjoy the fresh air. So that's our project, to join the Ringway through this cut down to the Greenway, so people can go out to Dewsbury Moor Country Park, people can go up to Cleckheaton and further, people can go down to Murfield. It just makes sense. Every aspect of it makes sense. Sometimes people accuse people who oppose development as being NIMBYs, and there is that argument. Of course there is. We all live around here, and most residents don't want to see this development. But looking wider, we're all facing a global challenge of climate change. We're all facing our green spaces being infilled and built on and developed. We're all facing pollution and too many cars on the road, and we can't do anything about that. That's national politics, that's international politics. But all we can do is curate our own local spaces and look after our own local spaces. There are protected species within 200 yards of here. There's a Dewsbury Moor Country Park which has a whole load of wildlife, and this is a green corridor. And if we don't protect our own backyard, then why are we complaining about international lack of action? We have to start locally, and that's what we're doing. This area needs protecting. We need our open spaces, we need the Ringway developing, but we're also protecting this fantastic rewilded space. All you can hear at the moment, other than cars, is birdsong. That's how it should be. Not diggers, not dumpers, not concrete. This is what we need. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic that the council now appreciate how fundamental this project is to Heckmondwike, to the regeneration of Heckmondwike. The current owner, who completed last week, I think, has offered that the council can buy the land. He hasn't said what price, but he's given us a very limited amount of time to buy it. I hope that the council appreciate how much public support there is for this project and how beneficial it would be for the local community. And one of the things that the council, I think, are aware of is how many disparate groups there are in Heckmondwike and Dewsbury Moor, and how difficult it is to integrate people. Well, if you walk on the Greenway, you'll see that there are groups from all ethnicities, all groups, all ages, walking, sharing a space, and there is a real community sense if you walk along any time on the Greenway. And what better way to integrate a community than to have a free public open space? So if the council is looking at the benefit that they are buying with financing a project like this, it's not just about the pounds, shillings and pence that you invest in making a cycleway. It's about involving a community. It's about involving people in a project that will benefit them. It's about tree planting. The council have targets for tree planting. What better area to fulfil your targets than this area? The whole top of this area about 3 years ago was scraped down to the bare bones by the previous owner and was left as just a clay mess. It's regenerating, it's rewilding, but it could do with the tree planting project taking place up there. You could have allotments up there. You could have a fantastic area where kids can play out in the wild but safely. So there's all sorts of benefits to the local community that need to be calculated when you're working out how much this is going to cost. Yes, it is going to cost, everything costs, but the benefits will repay in manyfold. So I am optimistic. We're working hard to try and persuade the council. I don't think they need persuading. It's just about, how much have they got to spend and how much can we support them in that. So optimistic, I'd say, at the moment. I hope I'm proved right.